So Jesus had taken what happened here, and this is interesting. He had taken his disciples on a journey of commitment, all right? And there's a big difference here between him telling them they are chosen and then everyone may hate you for your commitment. Isn't that interesting? There's a big difference, right? There's a big difference there as we walk through it of him telling you, hey, you're chosen, you're loved, all that, and then all of a sudden telling them, hey, there's going to be opposition. They might hate you. But what he was doing is he's preparing them that, hey, I'm here for you. There is a cost, but I'm there for you. I'll be with you. Really, in a sense, what he's saying is he's saying, hey, look, here's the deal, guys. I've chosen you. I've appointed you. I have told you to ask, and I will give. I'll take care of you. And you'll be able to love as I have loved. But look, even when I did that, they hated me, so they'll hate you. By the way, when Jesus went back to heaven, the disciples actually went and did what he told them to do. In the 21st century, it'd be a really great thing if us disciples would be that way and just do what Jesus has told us to do. You hear me? So those guys went to Jerusalem. That's where they started. Eventually, they would get out of Jerusalem. And they would go to other parts of the world, but they started there in Jerusalem because that's where they were at. And they began to preach this message. By the way, they say about 130,000 people came to follow Jesus just in Jerusalem. Isn't that crazy? But by the way, these guys were passionate enough. These guys were in love with Jesus enough. These guys, I would say, were even crazy enough to go and just do what he told them to do, and they did. They say about 130,000 people came to know Jesus. What's crazy about that is that's about half the population of Jerusalem at that time. So they made an impact. I mean, when the religious system there and the government got upset with them, they got upset with them because they had messed up their system. Because all these people had come to know the truth and the way. I mean, they got after it. But why wouldn't they? Jesus gave his life for them. And he said, hey, in this world, lay it down for me. Go for it. Like, take up your cross and follow me. Go out and proclaim the greatest message of all, the message of hope and redemption. Go proclaim the truth and the grace that I've given you. Folks, people need that today. Here's why. And maybe some of us sitting here and some of you watching online, maybe you need to hear this again, or maybe you need to hear it for the first time. But because Jesus went to a cross and he shed his blood. And even though the people shouted, crucify him, and Rome thought that they were putting him on the cross, Jesus went there willingly. That was his purpose for coming. He submitted to the will of the Father and came to earth because he chose to love us. And he went to the cross and paid the price for our sins. He shed his blood, and his blood covers our sins. It gives us the opportunity for the forgiveness of our sins. Then he died. He went to a tomb. On the third day, God raised him from the dead, and he walked out alive, and that's resurrection. Hey, church, people, listen to me. Watch me on this. He doesn't make us better. I say it all the time. No, in the resurrection, he makes dead people alive. He gives us new life. We're transformed. And people where we work, live, play, study, and shop, they don't need to just get a better life. No, they need to have a new life, experience transformation the way many of us have had the opportunity to realize that Jesus has chosen them, that he loves them, that he's appointed them for something greater than themselves, that if they ask, he will give, that we are marked by love now. And hey, and we know ahead of time, there might be a cost in this life, but the reward far outweighs it, right? He's Jesus. Do you imagine this with me? Imagine if each of us took a risk for the mission of Jesus. What's that risk you'd take this week? We have Easter coming up in 2 Sundays. Maybe that risk is us stepping out of our comfort zone and maybe inviting a friend to come with us. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's sitting down and listening to that person you know is hurting. Maybe that person you can't even stand, but you, for whatever reason, you know that they would talk to you if you listen. And maybe in those moments when they feel like they're in a situation they can't handle, we get to give them a dose of hope, and his name is Jesus.